This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. Did you know that you can watch the Senate live on YouTube? Visit the channel by browsing to youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. That's youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. Did you know that you can watch the Senate live on YouTube? Visit the channel by browsing to youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. That's youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. Did you know that you can watch the Senate live on YouTube? Visit the channel by browsing to youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. That's youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. Did you know that you can watch the Senate live on YouTube? Visit the channel by browsing to youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. That's youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
Good morning. Good morning. As we begin our first meeting of the 2025 session, I would like to impart some guidelines and directions on the important work our committee and especially our subcommittees. But before I do that, I think I'd ask that we call the roll.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you so very much. First, there are approximately 3 weeks before we report the budget. I will ask that members commit to working toward adopting a budget that all committee members can support and that focuses on sound policy decisions for the future. Next, by the end of this week, all of our all of our subcommittees will have met at least once this year. We're working toward identifying the critical issues in each area, and we need to continue that dialogue. Subcommittee members should have a comprehensive knowledge of what's before your subcommittee. Please work with staff members on any needed research and guidance. Subcommittee chairs, please make sure our staff know what you need to get your job done as chair. And please conduct inquiries of agencies as necessary to fully understand the administration's position on spending proposals or other amendments in the introduced budget. For your reference, I have redistributed the staff assignment list with the areas of responsibility for each. I will also remind you that currently we have significant one-time resources but limited ongoing revenues for fiscal 2026. Turning back to committee organization, bills will be assigned to subcommittees in cases where public hearings beyond the capacity of the full committee are appropriate. Where bills are complicated and the perspective of a subject area subcommittee will facilitate further understanding, where revenues or resources are impacted and need to be reflected cumulatively against the introduced budget, and in instances where the subcommittee must consider the totality of such bills as those with a Woodrum impact. Otherwise, I will try to limit the number of bills assigned so you can devote maximum time to devoting your specific area of budget development. Additionally, guidance is included in the organizational materials in your notebook. Please review these materials and make notes of the committee procedures for acting on referred bills and guidance on the consideration of tax incentive bills. On those topics, and if history repeats itself, you will be asked as members of the full committee to approve a number of tax credits or similar items to reduce taxpayer liability. The committee's standing principle is that the creation or expansion of tax credits, deductions, subtractions, or exemptions are only considered when adopting a biennial budget. I will also highlight 3 items under the procedures for acting on referred bills. First, our policy dictates that last-minute substitutes where analysis has not been conducted will be heard at the following meeting. Second, if a member asks that their scheduled bill go by for more than once, there is no assurance that the committee will have the opportunity to take any action other than striking it from the docket since we are in the short session. Third, in the past, this committee has added a clause to bills. I would ask that you use the clause sparingly or not at all since it extends budget developments and delays difficult findings decisions to a later date. The committee meeting schedule will remain the same as in prior years. Attendance at all assigned meetings is expected as your role is important to each. I will continue to be briefed by the staff weekly and I will send and spend a great deal of time evaluating bills and recommend certain actions for your consideration. I want to also note that we will continue the practice of not hearing additional public comment when public comment has already been taken in the committee of origin or in one of our subcommittees. Next, I want to speak briefly about the budget priorities as a chair of the committee. It is my intent that the Senate budget will provide relief to working families and individuals and invest in their education and well-being while maintaining the Commonwealth's long-term fiscal health. Working families are feeling the impact of inflation, and we are working to provide more immediate relief. This includes evaluating options to deliver this more immediate relief, and we plan to have a multi-pronged approach that allows for long-term financial prosperity. Virginia is the best state for business, and while we support our businesses, it is Virginia's people that are the backbone of the Commonwealth, and our success comes from their success. And as I talk about Virginia being the best state for business, I would be remiss if I did not mention that having a world-class education system is a primary driver of our top ranking. Our education subcommittee will continue to explore options to allow for additional student investments and prioritize those items while also adding our teachers and staff. We'll continue to focus on these areas and examine the work of the Joint Subcommittee on Elementary and Secondary Education that has been evaluating how to implement the JLARC K-12 study recommendations. Other areas of focus will include needed investments related to the Medicaid program that provides health care to many of our most vulnerable. The increase in the Medicaid forecast alone requires over $600 million in additional funding. $600 million in additional funding. We also need to continue to address how to better serve individuals in crisis or with behavioral health needs. Our HHR subcommittee will be evaluating these items as we develop the Senate budget. In conclusion, we have significant one-time funding, and we will use it wisely to make investments to provide relief for working Virginians to help buffer inflationary impacts. And we will make ongoing investments in education and healthcare and other areas that will lead to the long-term prosperity of our citizens. I look forward to working with my colleagues to build a strong budget to provide relief to Virginians and invest in critical services. Thank you in advance for your hard work and dedication to the committee during this session. If there are no comments or other questions, I would ask April to report any announcements and the plan for tomorrow's committee's work.
Madam Chair, tomorrow's meeting will predominantly be the staff's briefing on the governor's introduced budget. I know you are planning to have in the full Senate an announcement to invite the entire Senate to that briefing. That'll be tomorrow at our normal time at 9 a.m. And there will also be, I believe, 3 bills on the docket, which should be posted at any moment. And that is all. Thank you.
Any questions for any member of the committee? Well, this will be the shortest in history. The committee will be adjourned.
The Senate of Virginia.